Khalifa Muhammad, Nat Turner, Library Radio.
You are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Network. If you are offended by black people discussing our suffering, black people discussing our struggle, and black people talking about solutions to our problems, then this show is not for you. You have been warned. Nat Turner Library Radio.
She's the Chief Operations Officer for Black and Missing Foundation. Started for the very purpose of the subject to find our people and to contribute to the location and the solutions of where are our people. Brothers and sisters, Nat Turner Library Radio, February 15th, 2019, Friday. And tonight's subject, again, is very important. So if you know someone who has children, or if you yourself have children, if you have loved ones that are older, if you have people that have been incarcerated or may be in a situation that's precarious, you're not quite sure where they are, as I have in the past, then this is the show to listen to, because even if you don't have someone missing, you are black and you are in America, or if you're anywhere in the world, particularly if you're in Canada as well, you need to know what to do if you're black and missing. And, of course, as I said earlier, you are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. I want to open up in the proper way of acknowledging our Creator, Allah God. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who did appear to us in the person of Master Wali Fard Muhammad and raised up the exalted Christ, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and gave us his reminder in our midst, the Honorable Ms. Luz Farrakhan, the light of the world and final warner to those who oppress us, and a light in this dark time that we're in. And I further bear witness in the power of that one God who manifests himself by many names. His proper name is Allah. I thank you, brothers and sisters, and greet you all in the words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. That simply means may peace be unto you all. Spoken in the words of that great man of God named Jesus, Shalom, to the Hebrew Israelite family. We say Hotep to the Kemetic science, ancient Egyptian Kemetic science family. Praise the Lord to my Christian family. To the Nawapian Anunnakis, brothers and sisters, students of Malachi, Dr. Malachi Z. York, Rahubat, to Brother Amungeb, Sister Mayat Rayake, and Attorney Brasad. Continue that good fight for freeing Dr. Malachi York. Black Power to Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz and Chairman Nzinga, spokesperson Sister Yah Sentawa. Thank you for the email you gave earlier. We're going to talk about the second tribute to Dr. Khalid in just a moment, Sister Yah. Peace to the 5 percenters, peace to the gods and the earths, And shout out and black power to the Nat Turner Gun Club, Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and to all the believers that are traveling this day and tomorrow and even Sunday to see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but primarily to convene with the believing head in our beloved nation of Islam. We say Happy Savior's Day to all of you. May Allah, God bless you to have safe travels and to come back in good health. We know over the past couple of Savior's Day, and every so often, there's been a transmission of colds and flus. Some of that is just airport stuff. Some of that is the enemy trying to make the believers sick. So be careful, brothers and sisters, and have a great time in Chicago. And I look forward to this Sunday at the McCormick Place, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, hearing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, my teacher and my guide, give us some light in this dark, dark time. We know we're in a dark time period, brothers and sisters, and we need some light. And whenever you have darkness going on, you need someone who has some light. And that, I bear witness, is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And so to all the regional student ministers, Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad, Sister Dr. Ava Muhammad, Brother Abdul Halim, Dr. Ridgely, to Brother Student Minister Chris out in San Francisco, Minister Tony, Minister Patrick, Brother Minister Hafiz, Minister Rodney, Minister Abdul Hakim out in London, all of which are in Chicago, I believe. Brothers and sisters, may Allah continue to bless you and strengthen you in your fighting for the good fight and teaching freedom, justice, and equality to the lost found nation of Islam here in the wilderness of North America. Brothers and sisters who are listening tonight, I say it again, tonight's subject is Black and Missing in America. Where are our people? We will be interviewing our sister Natalie Wilson, co-founder and chief operations officer of Black and Missing Foundation, Incorporated. And she has some information to share with us about current missing cases and, go through the history of Black and Missing and how some of these statistics that we'll hopefully be catching in the news, how is this so high? How is it that there's so many of our people missing? I was reading some reports of tens of thousands. Then I went into about 1 million of our people missing, some cases more than that, all of which, there's mysterious circumstances, unreleased information. We don't know where they're at. They just seem to vanish. Well, brothers and sisters, we need to find out where our people are. If you're going to live in America, if you're going to sit here, brothers and sisters, and think that safe just where you are, well, that's not the way it is. And so in that spirit, brothers and sisters, we want to make sure that all of you understand what this subject is about. This is Black and Missing in America. We got a couple announcements to announce, of course. Brothers and sisters, we got Savior's Day coming up this Sunday, 3 p.m. Go to NOI.org to tune in, brothers and sisters. You can listen in every Sunday to the national public webcast, and also you get to hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speak. It is our annual convention commemorating the birth of our Savior, Master Wali Fard Muhammad, however you see him, founder of the Nation of Islam. I know him to be more than that, but this is a commemoration of that birth. We thank Allah for his intervention in our affairs. February 26, 1877, where this man was born, and the Savior has been born to give us that which had been lost for 66 trillion years. And so this is what's coming up this coming Sunday. Brothers and sisters, Dr. Umar Johnson will be in the house here at Nat Turner Library Radio next week, inshallah. Brother is also speaking in Bronx, New York this Sunday. He'll be speaking in Bronx, New York, and that is at 8 p.m. Sunday in the Bronx, New York. Title, the subject will be the Black History Month Message. You can go to www.eventbee, that's EVENTBEE.com, and just type in Dr. Umar Johnson to get some tickets. You can buy those direct. He's also going to be on the 23rd, Saturday the 23rd, that's next week, in Hamden, H-A-M-D as in Delta E-N, Connecticut, discussing exposing Connecticut's school-to-prison pipeline. It's a powerful lecture, brothers and sisters. That'll be Dr. Umar Johnson on February 23rd, 7 p.m. Brothers and sisters, we also have a sister who's been on our show, a good friend of my family and myself, a strong black woman, one of the strongest black women I've ever had the pleasure to be around, Sister Yah Sentawa, a sister who is commemorating the 18th memorial tribute to the Honorable Warrior, Dr. Abdul Khalid Muhammad. May Allah be pleased with him. We had a commemoration here in Atlanta that I was present to speak at, and also this will be in Harlem this coming Sunday, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Black History Month, brothers and sisters. We got black stuff going on. So you got a little everything going on. Nation of Islam, Black Panther Party, Black Conscious Movements, everything going on. No excuse to be ignorant. During the month of February this month, the fight must go on. And this will be at the Historical National Black Theater at 203 33rd 5th Avenue. That's on 5th Avenue in Harlem, New York. Sunday, February 17th, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's going to be a roundtable discussion about Dr. Khalid. Special guests that have been invited were Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Professor James Smalls, Minister Clemson Brown of the Transatlantic Productions, Minister Akbar as Chief of Staff. That's Minister Akbar, Abdul Akbar, from the Black Panther Party, Chief of Staff, and National Chairman Nzinga of the new Black Panther Party, both of which are the Black Panther Party, will be present. There's an author named Herb Boyd, and others will be announced. There'll be some drummers, poets. Dinner will be served. Yes, dinner will be served. That's at the Historical National Black Theater, 203-33 5th Avenue, Harlem, New York. Sunday, February 17th, 2019, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., $12 in advance, $15 at the door. That's pretty cheap for New York. Contact Sister Yah Sentawa directly. That's her phone number is area code 929-624-4142. That's 929-624-4142. You may also email if you want more information or purchase tickets at buyblackcampaign91@gmail.com. That's buyblackcampaign91@gmail. That's BUYBLACK CAMP as in Paul, AIG as in golf, N as in Nathaniel, 91. Those are the numerals, 91 at gmail.com. Again, brothers and sisters, you're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Of course, you can follow us tonight on Facebook, as always. For those who are not familiar, first and foremost, with the Nat Turner Library Radio, Nat Turner Library was founded by Elder Baba Khalifa and his dearly departed wife, Sister Rita Fard Khalifa, a sister who had the vision, as along with Baba Khalifa, to have a property in commemoration of the Honorable Minister Nat Turner, the first black preacher, that black man who wanted to fight for freedom, justice, and equality here in the hells of North America. And he decided after his reading of Scripture that God did not want us to suffer. So he said, death, or freedom or death, freedom or death, just like the motto of the Black Panther Party today, the new Black Panther Party and the original Black Panther Party. And so in that spirit, as a publisher, as an author, as a writer, and as a director of the original Nat Turner Library Radio, Baba Khalifa has 123 acres of pristine land in Southampton County, Virginia. Baba Khalifa does have tours, brothers and sisters, of the Nat Turner World Trail, where you can actually see for yourself, and I'll say it again, you can actually see for yourself where Nat Turner and those with him, and have a guided tour of that, and you can also support the property. And you can do so by contacting Baba Khalifa at 434-378-2140. That's 434-378-2140. You can also go to KHA Books, stands short for Khalifa Books, but khabooks.com. On Facebook, support us at Nat Turner Library Radio. Just simply go to Facebook, tap in Nat Turner Library Radio. Same for Instagram, go to Nat Turner Library Radio. And Twitter, go to NTLR-radio, NTLR-radio. And that is how you can follow the show tonight, brothers and sisters. And you can also make comments, share the information. A lot of you, brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for your support. You have been sharing the information. That is the purpose of a library, is to share and give knowledge. So we want you to continue to do that. So in that spirit, brothers and sisters, we want to go into the subject tonight. Later on, Sister will be with us around 8:30, 8:35, Sister Natalie Wilson, and we'll have the testimony of a brother who actually has had the same thing happened to him where he has a missing loved one, missing son, I believe. And so we're going to come up with that later on. Well, tonight, brothers and sisters, we want to continue this. Yes?
It is time for the news with Sister Terrance.
Oh, it sure is. And it is time. Most popular segment of the Nat Turner Library Radio Show is the news. Sister News, Tangela. Sister Tangela, are you there? Tangela Muhammad, are you there? Well, alaikum salam. Welcome to the latest episode of Nat Turner Library Radio. Sister Tangela, how you feeling tonight? All praises is due to Allah. Well, I too feel well. Looking forward to getting our sister Natalie Wilson on later on. But you know, Sister Tangela, we have a very serious time that we're in. Very, very serious time that we're in. And so we want to go right into that subject of what is going on in the news today.
The first article comes from Today.com. Chicago woman rents over 30 hotel rooms for homeless in dangerous cold. We all know that Chicago has been dealing with some of the coldest temperatures in a long time.
That's for sure.
Talking about negative 27 degrees with a wind chill factor of negative 42.
Wow.
So our dear sister Candace Payne, who by the way is a young black sister, she's only 34 years old.
Wow.
Decided to send out a social media post to help with her to try to get the homeless out of the cold. So this hotel called Amber Inn was nice enough to allow her to buy over 60 rooms for a total of 5 nights.
Wow.
To help put the homeless up for those 5 nights.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just a wonderful thing that she was able to do. She got a lot of help. She said people were donating to her from all over.
Praise be to Allah.
Yeah, and we're just thankful for her to having she don't have an organization. She's just a regular old person.
Well, you know, Sister Tangela, I'm sorry, did you have any more information on that article?
Yes, sir.
The Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan said something, Sister Tangela, that I'll never forget. He said, for those of you, this was a few years ago, he said, for those of you looking for a leader, he said, look in the mirror. The leader you're looking for is right there.
Right, exactly.
I once told our son something, brothers and sisters, that I'm going to tell you, the audience, and it's something that I found to be true. When Allah puts something on your heart, it's because that's what He wants you to do. Okay, so that's something that our sister, what was sister's name again?
Her name is Candace Payne.
May Allah continue to bless the efforts of Sister Candace.
Yes.
Acts of kindness is a verse in the Quran. It's something that the scriptures talk about. Bible verse that comes to mind is what Jesus said, that which you have done to the least of these, the same you have done unto me. Sure. May Allah continue to bless that sister. Indeed. What do you have from us?
The next article is from MintPressNews.com. Ilhan Omar is right. AIPAC influences Congress to the tune of $4 million annually.
Oh.
So, unfortunately, our Muslim sister, representative from Minnesota Democratic, Ilhan Omar, is being bullied for quote-unquote anti-Semitism remarks.
Oh, here we go.
All because she tweeted, it's all about the Benjamin money. It's all about the Benjamin, baby. And
wow.
She came back with the word AIPAC.
Wow.
Yes.
So just like our brother LeBron, who said, I want to get that Jewish money.
Jewish money, right.
Hey, look, they put it out there like that.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, check this out. We're mathematic people. You understand what I'm saying, Sister Tangela? Okay, you got a master's degree in business. Who at the top of the business world in America?
You already know.
The Jews.
Exactly.
I mean, who's at the top of the media world in America? The Jewish people. Okay, I can keep on going. That's not saying a hateful statement.
It's not.
It's like
she spoke truth. AIPAC spends more than $3.5 million every year to influence Congress to be more favorable towards Israel.
Now, AIPAC is the American-Israeli Partnership thing or whatever.
It's the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee.
Public Affairs Committee. Okay, so check this out. Israel is not part of America, brothers and sisters.
Exactly.
Okay, Israel is about 8,000 miles, maybe 7,000 miles away.
Right.
I'll say it again. Thousands of miles, separate country, got a separate flag.
So why are we receiving? Why are politicians receiving money from them to influence them into certain decisions?
Or for those who are listening, listen to our show we did last week on the archive, or go to YouTube and go to Vimeo and just type in Nat Turner Library Radio.
Right.
Sister Cynthia McKinney, former congresswoman, said, look, she was pushed out of Congress.
Yes.
Because all she wanted to do was expose it. She refused to take money from them.
Yep.
So they pushed her out.
Exactly.
So what else you got for us?
The next article from Politico.com. Trump calls for freshman Dean's resignation over anti-Semitic tweets. So now your President Trump wants her to be resigned.
Ain't my damn president.
To resign because of her tweet.
Yes.
He can go to where the face don't shine, where the sun don't shine on that. Because she didn't say anything, bad. But she did offer apology. She said that she never intended to offend anyone, any Jewish Americans or anything like that. She said she's always willing to step back and think about criticism. It's I expect people to hear me when others attack me for my identity by her being Muslim. So, yeah.
I mean, this is sisters being kind, and that's the nature of black women. This is an Ethiopian, Eastern African descent sister.
Mm-hmm.
But I am a black man born and raised in New York, North America. We don't really give a hoot about what people's feeling. So let me tell you something about that. If that was my sister, my mother, or that was even me, let me tell you something. I apologize for speaking the truth.
Speaking the truth?
Y'all all about money. Sister Cynthia McKinney and others said the same thing. You offer the only reason Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, President Obama, even our sister, what's her name, that was the National Security Advisor under George Bush Jr., what's her sister, Condoleezza Rice. All these people went to AIPAC for capitulation to them, because if you are in the favor of the Israeli lobby, then nothing bad is ever said of you, even if you do something wrong, because they control the media. That's why they told the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, brothers and sisters, that's why they told the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, if you do what we want you to do, we'll clean up your image. The minister said, well, how would you clean up your image if you aren't the ones that dirtied it in the first place? So let's go on to the next one.
The next one is from Harris.com. New York Times finds disappropriate role of Israelis in world organ trafficking. This particular article goes into the how easy and illegal it is to buy a kidney in Israel.
Okay.
It follows an Israeli woman named Opria Doran, and how she was able to buy a kidney outside. And the Costa Rican government has uncovered an international organ trafficking ring that specializes in selling kidneys to Israel and Eastern European patients. So what's happening is people are being able to go to Costa Rica to a hospital in San Jose and get a kidney. He paid the patient. He paid $18,500 to an unemployed 37-year-old man for his kidney.
Wow. And
that's literally thousands of illegal transplants that take place around the world each year. And the sad reality, one of the things that the reason why this is happening so much in Israel is because of the Jewish religious restrictions when it comes to donating.
But it can.
Yeah, exactly.
Judaism doesn't allow for that, as well as blood transfusion.
That's why there is so much on the ground and organ trafficking that goes on there. It's tough.
Well, you're a nice sister, Angela, and I appreciate you being nice. The reason the Jews are doing this ain't because this is against the law. They doing this because they got doggone devils. They look at the rest of the world, and particularly the darkest skinned people, as their slaves. And so they do it underground. There was another article, several actually, of rabbis in New Jersey, rabbis in Israel itself or other countries that were arrested for having organs on them. Yeah. The reason rabbis, or to what is properly said in Hebrew, rabbi, the reason they do this is not because of Judaism. It's because they don't look at us, anyone who's not a Jew, they don't look at us as human. Now, let me tell you real quick, brothers and sisters that are listening, if you look at your faith system and you say that you're better than somebody or even far superior for the purpose of living because you're a Muslim, you're a Jew, or a Christian, if you say that to yourself and if you go as far as to say everyone else is not even human, I met plenty of Christians, Sister Angela, I'm talking about white Christians, who have justified the murder of everyone on the planet, Arabs, blacks, Hispanics, because they say Jesus was white and therefore white Christians are the best thing on the planet, everyone else is nothing. These Jews are doing the same thing when they go to these other countries. You and I saw a documentary not too long ago. They were doing the same thing. And so, brothers and sisters, where are some of our people? We pray that that's not the case, but you need to know your enemy, brothers and sisters. This is happening. This is real. You and I didn't write this article. You didn't write that article, did you, Sister Chandler?
No.
Okay, so...
Yeah, the whole entire illegal trafficking of organs is happening all across the world.
All across the world.
It's a huge issue. Because poor people who unfortunately need the money, they're willing to donate their organs.
You mean sell?
Let's just sell their organs.
They ain't donate nothing.
You're absolutely right. Sell their organs because they want the money. So $18,000 for a kidney to somebody who don't have a job is like, okay, you can have my kidney.
I know what you're saying.
It's sad because they're put into those situations. It's sad.
I got you. Well, you know, what's even sadder is where our people is. So what else you got for us?
The next article from NewYorkTimes.com, 1.5 million missing black men. For every 100 black women not in jail, there are only 83 black men. The remaining men, 1.5 million of them are in sense missing. 17 missing black men for every 100 black women. Among cities with the highest black population, the largest gap is in Ferguson, Missouri. There's 40 missing black men for every 100 black men. Now, North Carolina also has a large gap. There's 25 missing to every 100 black men. So this actual gap does not exist between the white community.
Wow.
And it's driven mainly by incarceration and early death.
Right.
They're missing partly mainly because many are behind bars. Many of them have unfortunately they got died early because of gun violence, or even the recent killing of all by the police.
Right.
Is also causing this actual gap. And the article goes on to talk about how the higher mortality is the main issue. You have a lot of men and women who in the United States, according to the census, have died because of just death.
Right.
Because of being died, because of homicide.
But it's disproportionately affecting black men, apparently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So homicide is a huge thing. Military deployment overseas, and also breakdown of black immigrants also play a minor role in the census data, which is also the Census Bureau is unaccounting both African American men also plays a huge role too.
So they don't know where our brothers at.
Yeah.
So brothers and sisters, these articles that Sister Chandler was reading is on the Facebook page. You can see it. Sister Chandler, we've had hundreds of people already like and comment on most of these articles. So brothers and sisters, go to Nat Turner Library Radio on Facebook and you get to hear and see for yourself these particular articles that you read.
And I think it's very well to note this, that the junior gap does not exist in childhood. There are roughly as many African American boys as girls when the childhood exists.
That's natural.
It's that what happens when they start getting to the teenage years, going to their mid-20s and their mid-30s, that's when the parents happen.
And that's when these things happen, and that's what we want to talk about. Our sister, Natalie Wilson. Natalie Wilson, I see you on hold on the line there. We'll be done with the news in just a moment. Brothers and sisters listening, we got a couple more news articles to go through, and we'll get right to our break and get our sister, Natalie Wilson, on to discuss this, co-founder and chief operations officer of blackandmissing.com.
The next article is from blackamericaweb.com. Nearly 75,000 black girls and women are missing across the country.
Wow.
This is thousands and thousands of young black girls and women are missing, but can't name a single one of them.
you probably can't even remember. You probably can't even find an article in any of them.
You sure can.
Nobody know they're even missing.
Right.
The stories of young black girls and women who are missing don't get the attention of the primetime television or any kind of specials on them. Their images don't become permanent pictures on Twitter. Their names don't get hashtags or trending topics. Nationwide manhunts or third parties don't sue.
Right.
Crying black parents pleading for their children to be found don't interrupt our sitcoms and breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, if you don't have blonde hair and blue eyes or have white parents in suburban America, more than likely your story of your missing child will not be told.
That's right.
So this is what's been happening with our young girls and young men who are being missing across America.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about that. Sister Tamsa, you got any comments on that?
And this is unreal of how the statistics show of all the people that are missing and our young black women, our young black girls, and it's sad. They say across the nation, 35% of black children missing are black, 20% are Latino.
Wow.
We don't know these things. We don't know this.
We don't know this, and that's why we want to talk about it tonight.
Exactly.
Brother Terrance Woods, I see you on the line. Terrance Woods, I see you on the line as well. Terrance Woods, brothers and sisters, is a brother who will be on with Sister Natalie Wilson to talk about his endeavors with finding his loved one that is missing as well. Sister Tamsa, what else you got for us?
That's all. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Sister Tamsa, for the news once again. We appreciate all the hard work that you have done. May Allah continue to bless you with what you're doing with the news. People love hearing the news, Sister Tamsa.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Brothers and sisters, we are coming up on our actual interview of the night. It's our sister, Natalie Wilson, and our brother, Terrance Woods. You are listening, brothers and sisters, to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Hold tight. Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
FinalCall.com. FinalCall.com. One word, FinalCall.com. The award-winning website for the realest and most accurate black news available on the planet. FinalCall.com. Fair, reasonable, accurate, and inclusive. We are a unifying website. FinalCall.com. Go there today.
This is your brother here, Brother Michael Muhammad, executive producer of Nat Turner Library Radio, and your brother. That's Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. Did you know that the black mind has been under attack since the creation of the Caucasian 6,600 years ago? Ever wonder the connection between a black hole and the power of black women? Did you know that there is a mathematical connection between black people and the blackness of the universe? Want to know the true purpose of the women's liberation movement in the 60s and the original one that was in the late 1800s? What is the Louisiana-Mississippi syndrome? Again, that's the Louisiana-Mississippi syndrome. All of this and more in Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. This is my first book, and this will not be the last. Go to the website, bromichaelmuhammad.com. That's BROMICHAELMUHAMMAD.com. You can also go to Facebook and type in Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, and call me direct if you would like to book any engagements or anything dealing with Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind. 678-906-6306. 678-906-6306. This is your brother, Michael Muhammad, at Nat Turner Library Radio.
Stay tuned for Nat Turner Library Radio.
Attracted some of the most brilliant, award-winning musicians and artists.
no dying, no lying, no gang banging, so no more mamas crying. Chilling with the president, he let me in the White House. Back to the Capitol with the minister.
Support this project from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan by going to letschangetheworldmusic.com. That's letschangetheworldmusic.com. You may also simply type in lctwmusic.com. That's lctwmusic.com. Support your own, support yourself.
Peace, you guys. It's Nadira here from Easy Light Sources. And I just wanted to let you know that the Easy Light Sources Food Guide is now available for $10 on easylightsources.org. The Easy Light Sources Food Guide covers 18 fruits and vegetables commonly found in any grocery store. If you're looking for ways to feel better in your life and to raise your vibrations, one of the easiest ways to incorporate some light into your life is through the foods that you eat. If you're interested in going into a plant-based lifestyle, the food guide also has your back with a few essays in the back and a few recipes to help get you started. Once again, the Easy Light Sources Food Guide is now available. Purchase your copy today at easylightsources.org.
It's your brother here, Michael Muhammad from Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Brothers and sisters, I have recently launched my new writing, Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, a part 1, which is dedicated to the study of the mind of the black woman and how our enemies have attacked the black woman to get to ultimately the black community. But I also have a website, bromichaelmuhammad.com, BROMichaelmuhammad.com. That's bromichaelmuhammad.com. On this, you will see me. You will see the M6X apparel, which has beautiful shirts, 100% organic black shirt. For the sisters, we have the Be Yourself, Love Yourself shirt. The shirt that says, I'm not a toy for a little boy, I need a man with a plan. And for our conscious sisters, modesty is loving yourself. When you disrespect women, you destroy the future for everyone. We have the shirts of 100% organic black, which gives all the attributes of our organic black man and woman. We have Honor Thy Mother and Thy Father. We have the 100% Black God shirt, one of the most popular. We have the Know Your Enemy shirt with the atrocities that have happened to the black man and woman of North America on the back. And we also have the Checkmate book cover shirt in many different colors. We also have fragrances are available. You just simply have to tell me which one you need. And these are all the things you can find on bromichaelmuhammad.com. That's bromichaelmuhammad.com. The website, you can go to it from your e-reader, you can go to it from your tablet, you can go to it from your PC. You can also reach me directly at michaelasia33@gmail.com. It's michaelasia33@gmail.com. You may also call me direct at 678-906-6306. Peace.
Stay tuned for Nat Turner Library Radio.
And we're back. You are listening, brothers and sisters, to the Nat Turner Library Radio. February 15, 2019. 8 p.m. Tonight's show, brothers and sisters, is Black and Missing in America. Where are our people? This is a very serious subject, brothers and sisters. So again, the call-in number, if you want to be a part of the listening audience or conversation, if you're listening live, for those of you who are listening on our podcast later, of course, you can always reach out to blackandmissing.com to be a part of the discussion or say help out in your area to find some of those missing. But if you're listening live, you can call in at 515-605-9882. That's 515-605-9882. To set the stage before we get our guests on tonight, Tom Joyner Morning Show, a brother who's been in media for a long time, he had a specialist, one of his contributing specialists on the line a few years ago about this subject. He made some great comments that I'd like to set the stage about being black and missing in America, and then we'll get the actual co-founder of Black and Missing, Sister Natalie, right after this.
Yesterday, that disturbed me, man. I don't know if the audience listening to this morning, I don't know if you've ever heard of Relisha Rudd, but yesterday, through all the noise about Donald Trump and his lies, I heard her name for the very first time. This sweet little 8-year-old girl, which is the same age as my daughter Savannah, has been missing 3 years. She lived in a Washington, D.C. area homeless shelter with her mother before she was last seen on camera with a janitor at the facility. That janitor later killed himself and his wife. And while many people presume that Relisha is dead, every single clue of her whereabouts has gone cold. She's just vanished, no sign of her. I study and obsess over injustice and inequity for a living. This is what I do. And yesterday was the first time I'd ever heard her name. It's floating out there. I think I've seen her pictures, but it really just broke through to me yesterday. This is not an accident. Thousands and thousands of young black girls and women are missing all over the country. I can't name a single one of them. Most of you probably can't either. I asked a few people this morning, just as a test could, and they could. They didn't even know that anybody was missing. And how would they? The stories of young black girls and women who are missing don't get the Elizabeth Smart or Natalie Holloway treatment. We don't see primetime television specials on them. Their images don't become permanent fixtures on Twitter. Their names don't get hashtags or trending topics. Nationwide manhunts or search parties don't ensue. Crying black parents pleading for their children to be found don't interrupt our sitcoms as breaking news. It appears that having blonde hair and blue eyes and having white parents in suburban America makes it far more likely that a story of a missing young girl will be told. Washington, D.C. appears to have a particular problem. 2 young black girls, Shania Boyd and Sharia Payne, have gone missing just this week. Many open cases remain from 2017 alone. None of this, of course, is okay. It's not okay that so many people go missing. But the fact that so many of them are young and black makes it unlikely that we'll ever hear their story or know their name or see their face is particularly disturbing. Officials in D.C. are quick to say that 95% of their cases of disappearing girls and women have been resolved, and that's great. But the fact remains that of the 5% that haven't, all of them are black. This trend is not unique to D.C. Black girls and women represent an outrageously disproportionate percentage of the number of people who are missing in this country. Black girls and women represent about 7% of Americans, but over 35% of all missing person cases. Have you ever heard of Phoenix Cauldron? She's been missing since 2011. Or Michaela Randall? She's been missing since 2012. Right here in New York, over a dozen black and Latino women in the Bronx went missing, prompting many people to believe they were being abducted or forced into prostitution. So the crisis is twofold. The sheer volume of missing people in this country, particularly young black girls, must be addressed. The complex systems and structures and mechanisms needed to address the problem must be better. Of course, that's no easy feat. Each story behind each missing person is unique, but it's often felt by families that their missing children just aren't seen as the priority that they should be. Secondarily, how the media covers these cases and how we all become aware of them, it must change. While we can cross our fingers that many mainstream outlets would do better, history tells me that's a bad bet. Those of us...
Brothers and sisters, that was a brother named Sean King, contributor to that particular subject to the Tom Joyner Morning Show a few years ago. But with us now, we have live on air Sister Natalie Wilson, co-founder and chief operations of Black and Missing Foundation, as well as one brother who is part of the actual discussion about current cases, his missing loved one, Brother Terrance Woods. Let's welcome him to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, and thank you. Well, this is a very sobering subject. We want to talk about it with utmost respect to those that are missing. And so, Sister Natalie Wilson, I know you're under the weather, so I'll be very as direct as I can, so I'm very mindful of your time. And Brother Terrance, if you have anything to add at any time, feel free to do so. Yes, sir. And brothers and sisters that are listening, if you want to be a part of this listening audience, because I'm going to give them all the time to speak, and maybe later on in the interview, if we have anyone that has any questions, then I'll entertain those. But 515-605-9882, that's 515-605-9882. The website to consider is that's A-N-D, missing, INC.com. That's blackandmissinginc.com. So, Sister Natalie Wilson, how did you get into co-finding this website?
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if you've heard of a young lady by the name of Tamika Houston. Tamika went missing from my sister-in-law's hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, and we read how her family and her aunt is in media relations really struggled to get any type of coverage for her regarding her disappearance. And a little while later, Natalie Holloway went missing, and I'm sure everyone has heard her name. She has dominated the news, and she still continues to dominate the news. So we decided to do some research at the time and see, is this an issue? Are people of color disappearing at an alarming rate? And at the time, 30% of all persons missing were of color, and that number has now increased to 40% of all persons missing are of color. So my sister-in-law and we decided to join professions. She's in law enforcement. I'm in media relations, and those are the two critical components needed to bring awareness to and find our missing. And that's the inspiration behind it. The motivation behind it is getting calls from family members saying, can you please help me? You are my last resort. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. Law enforcement isn't helping me. The media isn't helping me. Can you all please help?
Right. Indeed. So that's how you got started. It's interesting you bring up those statistics, Sister Natalie Wilson, and because as you were saying that, me dealing with actual facts on this show, I actually looked at the population of black people in America and Hispanic population, which is our people as well. We only make up, they say 12% of the population of the United States. And I think the Hispanic population is like 14% on top of that, so you're looking at no more than 28% of the actual population to be considered. And as a result of that, we make up a disproportionately high amount of the missing cases. Is that correct in your assessment as well?
Absolutely, that is correct. And when we first started the organization, most people missing were black men. So now that number has gone down a bit, but it's still at an alarming rate. And we have to remember, these are people reported missing. There are so many others who have not been reported missing that we also have to be mindful of.
Oh, wow. So we're going to jump right into that. Brother Terrance, we'll get to your story in just a moment. I had a question about that. So how long has the Black and Missing website been up and running?
We have been in existence for going on 11 years in May of 2008.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, brothers and sisters that are listening, that's blackandmissinginc.com, blackandmissinginc.com. I've been there a few times, and, it's a very alarming thing to see someone that's missing. As that particular clip I played, and as you were saying, you don't hear about it. There's no mention of it on the news. I remember when I was growing up, I'm in my 40s. When I was growing up, on the back of the milk cartons, there used to be missing children of all races on the back. And then there's people that are missing. But there's no mention of it whatsoever. And that sounds kind of suspicious. And you had mentioned there's a lot more black men, I believe, Sister Natalie. Is that right?
Yes, so when we first began the organization, there were more black men missing than any other group. And, we just have to be mindful that we do need to take a stand because these are mothers and fathers, their sons and daughters, grandparents that are missing, and they deserve to be found. They deserve help. Their families deserve answers, and it can happen to all of us. You're seeing a trend where there are a large number of young men and women who are going missing in Atlanta, in Detroit, in Baltimore, in Chicago, and we believe that they're victims of sex trafficking. We know that our children that are homeless, and Sean King mentioned Alicia Rudd, who has been missing from D.C. since March 1st, 2014. She and her family were homeless. We know that children that are in foster care are going missing at an alarming rate. They're becoming victims of sex trafficking, and no one is looking for them. And it's not just our girls that are being victims of sex trafficking, it's our boys as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't help but recognize the correlation between homelessness or poverty and showing up missing. In the case that Sean King had mentioned in that clip, the sister and her mother were homeless. In 2008, there was something that a lot of people forgot happened, but I didn't forget, and that was the economic collapse that disproportionately affected the black community. That was the whole adjustable rate mortgage crisis, and I think it was something like 22 to 23 million people, disproportionately, again, black people, lost their homes. Right now in California, we have disproportionately high numbers of black and Latino people being pushed out of the housing complex altogether, including apartments, because they just can't afford it. And when you're out in the street, literally out in the street, then you become part of these statistics where people don't know where you are. You end up in prison. You don't always have your IDs with you, and then the next thing you know, you're missing or you're part of something that is nefarious. And so we have a brother with us.
We do know.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Right. We do know that children who are homeless within 24 to 48 hours, they are lured into sex trafficking. And the pimps, they tell us, we know that these kids are looking for the basics. They're looking for the basic security, food, clothing. So they know what they need, and they're preying on them. And I think think about your life. You need the basics. You want the basics. And these pimps, they hang out at these homeless shelters because these kids need money to survive. So they know the buzzwords to say, and they also utilize social media. Later on in the show, we can talk about social media. We use it for good to bring awareness to our missing, but the pedophiles use it, to harm our kids.
Indeed. Well, brothers and sisters, we have a brother with us tonight who has a loved one who's listed on the Black and Missing INC website. Brother Terrance Woods, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right. Brother Terrance, I understand that you have a son, I believe, that has been missing.
Yes,
is that
my
correct?
oldest son.
And he's also
my oldest son went missing. Yes, he went missing on October 5th of 2018.
2018, okay.
Yeah.
Well, as much as you want to discuss, can you tell us what you know of the circumstances behind his disappearance, and then what we can do to help?
Well, as sad as it is, I really have no clues to what have taken place. My son went to Elk City, Idaho, and he called me. He texted me on the 4th and said he was there. He called me first thing in the morning on the 5th, and we spoke at 2:30 in the morning, and he was supposed to stay in Elk City, Idaho with a TV show called Raw TV from London. He was supposed to be with them until the second week of November, doing documentaries on various places. Well, the next text I got from my son, he said he would be home on the 10th of October, which was 5 days later. For some reason, he cut his visit short, and he wanted to come home. He notified the company in London and they allegedly got him a ticket to come home on the 5th. Well, the next call I received said my son disappeared in the woods. First story they gave me, he fell off a cliff. Next story they gave me, he jumped off a cliff. Next story I received was he leaped off a cliff, and he's a dark-complexioned man that had a mental breakdown and do not want to be found. I heard several stories, and I went out there as well. And that's where we're at. The police department, the sheriff department lied directly to me. The TV show Raw TV lied directly to me. You know, gave me more than 2 stories, and that's where we're at now. I hired a private investigator, and all he did was take money from me without giving me any information up to this day. Thousands to try to get information on my son and receive nothing from him. So that's where I'm at now, still trying to find out where my son is so that I can bring my son home. Yeah.
So where were his last whereabouts based on the text messages that you received?
His last whereabouts was in Elk City, Idaho. They were doing a documentary on a gold mine in Elk City, Idaho, and he was with 11 others. By the time I got to Idaho, 10 of the 11 was gone. I have not received a police statement from any of them. I don't even know their name. I don't know anything about them. When I questioned the police department to give me the information, they said they could not give it to me because, quote, unquote, it was not a police investigation. When I spoke to Raw TV, the company he was working for, they said they will get back in touch with me. They will get back in touch with me. And finally, they said that the sheriff department in Idaho told them, do not give me or any private investigator any information pertaining to my son. If you wanted any information, you had to go through them. Then all of a sudden, the lead detective in Elk City, Idaho, detective by the name of Jerry Johnson, he sent me an email and said he has nothing to say to me. He will not give me any information or help me because I called him a racist and said he was corrupt, in which I never said that. I never said that. A woman from Idaho called in when I was on another radio show, and she said all of this about him. I never said that.
Wow.
But he then sent me a text and told me he would not have anything to do with me, in which up to this point, he has no dealings with me. He will not contact me. He will not give me any information, etc. So,
well, I'm glad you're
at.
sharing this. I'm glad you're sharing this information, Brother Terrance, because as a black man who grew up in the mountains of New York, I didn't grow up in New York City. I grew up in the mountains. We've had many stories when I was young of what my mother used to tell me. She said that there's plenty of people in these rural areas. In Elk City, Idaho, as I'm looking at these photos of Elk City, is a rural area that reminds me of my hometown that I grew up in. And you know who's out there in those areas, brothers and sisters, people who don't necessarily like us. They don't like us.
Well, when I went out there, where my son was doing the documentary, the population is 201 people. 201 people. So everyone knows everybody's business. When I got to Gainesville, Idaho, when I walked into the gas station, the people knew who I was before I even said who I was. They didn't know if I was a pass-by. They didn't know I was, on vacation. They knew who I was. They knew that I was Terrance Wood's father, and I was there looking for my son. So I say that to say, if you know who I am walking in a gas station, but no one have a clue of what happened to my son, there's no way in the world will a person disappear off the face of God's earth with no trace.
Absolutely.
The cliff that my son allegedly fell down, when they first gave me the first call, they said my son, the person Simon G. said he thought my son fell off a cliff. Then he immediately changed his story and said by the time he got to the cliff, now this is the cliff you thought my son fell off. Now by the time you get to the cliff, within seconds, my son now is down a cliff you thought he fell off, but now he's 15 feet down a cliff, running like a hare. Running like a hare. Wow. For real? First you thought he fell off a cliff, now he's down a cliff running like a hare, and no one can find a trace of my son up to this date? Come on.
Now, so all of that, none of that makes sense. And
Not at all.
I feel your pain, Brother Terrance, because I am a black man, And I'm an author as well, and my second book is dedicated to the struggle of black men. It's called Behind Enemy Lines. And one of these types of stories is being discussed. So I want to continue to help you to find out what we can do. Now, I don't know anybody in Idaho, but I know brothers and sisters that are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio. If you have investigative power, if you have jurisdiction over some Congress people, I interviewed, for example, former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney last week. You never know who knows anybody. So these are people who are going to be listening to the show. You know, so if you have any legislative power, brothers and sisters, you know someone who knows someone. I know people who are a part of the New Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. This is right up their line. Because in that area,
we need the FBI to get involved. The FBI is not involved with this case.
And that's the thing.
I tried to,
I've called the FBI and made 3 complaints. All 3 of them, this is what they constantly tell me. Well, Idaho Sheriff Department have to get in touch with us before we get involved. And as I tell them, the Idaho Sheriff Department, as well as Raw TV, is something real shady with the both of them, because the Idaho Sheriff Department sat in my face, and lied directly to me. My son is a child of light complexion. They said my son was a dark complexion person, and the original 911 call, they said my son was a dark complexion person that had a mental breakdown and do not want to be found. My son is not dark complexion, okay? Wow. And then I said, why do you say my son don't want to be found? Up to this date, no one has answered that question. But everyone from Sheriff Gaines to the detectives, everyone keeps saying, if you look at the news channel that did the report when I was in Idaho, the sheriff constantly say that my son do not want to be found. My son do not want to be found. My son do not want to be found. So they said, being that, quote, unquote, my son is of age and allegedly do not want to be found, therefore it's not a criminal investigation. But I asked one simple question. Exactly. Yeah. I say, why do you all keep saying my son do not want to be found? Do you have audio, a statement he made? Do you have some type of confession he made? I have not received audio. I have not received confession. So why do you all keep saying this? Because as long as you all say that he's of age and do not want to be found, then you can justify to say it's not a criminal act. And that's what go on with blacks. That's what when you deal with black young children in inner city communities, you know why they don't deal with Amber Alert? Because the first thing they say about a black child, he or she's a runaway. He's a runaway. They don't want to be found. But when a person of the light complexion with the blue eyes, just like the young lady that went missing Thanksgiving of last year, 2018, they had the FBI involved the very next day. But they did not consider her as being missing. But the FBI was involved the very next day. I'm proving and showing these people that my son did not disappear on his own, but the FBI have not gotten involved as of yet. Wow, really?
It's a very galvanizing point, Brother Terrance, and let me explain what I mean by galvanizing. On this show, the Nat Turner Library Radio Show, we talk about all types of conspiracies, all types of things like this. But it continues to galvanize the point of view that I, as a show host and as a researcher, have been saying, that in order for the United States government to continue to legally receive tax money, according to their own policies in the Constitution, there's no taxation without representation. Does the FBI represent you in any form? Not at all.
Not at all. They constantly say that it's not a criminal act. It's not a criminal act. The Sheriff Department in Idaho have to get in touch with us. The Sheriff Department will not get in touch with you because the Sheriff Department told Raw TV, and I have the documentation they just sent. They sent the email and told them, if he have a private investigator get in touch with you all, do not answer any questions. Send them to us. We will answer all questions. I have the email that the Sheriff Department sent to Raw TV. And Raw TV told me, we cannot help you because we spoke with the Sheriff Department, and the Sheriff Department told us, do not answer any questions by a private investigator. And then, like I said, the lead detective, the only detective in the town, told me, I have nothing to say to you because you called me a racist, but I'm a Christian man, and because I'm a Christian man and I deal with all of God's children, I will continue looking for your son. Wow,
well,
for real?
So much for his Christianity, he don't want to talk to you. You know, so
wow.
Well, Sister Natalie Wilson, that exchange of information that Brother Terrance and I have just had, is this something you hear echoing with other missing black family members, of people that you know in some of these cases? Okay.
Excuse me. Absolutely.
Share with us, if you would, some of the other frustrations similar to what Brother Terrance has been just explaining to us. Is this something you hear with others as well?
Absolutely. And as Mr. Woods said, many times when our children are reported missing, they do not receive the Amber Alert because they're classified as a runaway. And not only do they not receive the Amber Alert, but they do not receive any type of media coverage at all. And we hear from family members all the time that they would report their loved one missing to law enforcement, and the cases aren't taken seriously. And a police report sometimes isn't even taken. So, excuse me, the families are being victimized yet again. So it's something, you know, and we tell families all the time, you know your loved one better than anyone else. If you do not believe that your loved one walked away, you know, you have to stand your ground and you have to fight for your family. In the District of Columbia and Illinois, they're the only two areas that we know of when your loved one goes missing, you can file a police report right away. But we ask individuals to find out what the law is in your jurisdiction or your state, because there's a myth that you must wait 24 to 48 hours. If it's a child, you have to report them missing right away. So again, we hear these stories all the time. This is not new to us. And that's what we're fighting against. And we're fighting for Mr. Woods and all of the Terrance that's out there.
So I want to shift gears just a tiny bit, Brother Terrance and Sister Natalie, just to find out some solutions. On the site blackandmissinginc.com, I did notice some of the success stories, okay, which I know, Brother Terrance, that doesn't help you. We hope to help you with that. But I want to help, and then we're going to go into some best practices for us as black people. When we notice our loved one missing, what do we do? So what are some of the success stories of the website and black people helping ourselves find our loved ones?
Well, since our inception, we have assisted in bringing home more than 300 people. Sadly, not all of them were found alive. However, their families at least have answers as to what happened to them. And we have to remain vigilant as a community. I'll give you a quick story. There was a young lady missing out of Baltimore. She was on a social media app called Kik, and she met a man online, and she thought she was talking to someone her age. She became comfortable and gave the young man her information. He came to her school and picked her up. He then took her to D.C., and she became a victim of sex trafficking.
Oh, man.
Excuse me. Her mother alerted us. We issued an alert, and Michael Baisden is one of our media partners, and he put her information on his Facebook page. And thankfully, an Uber driver saw her. He had picked her up at 3 in the morning, and he was wondering, why am I picking this young girl up? So he saw her. He remembered her flyer. He contacted us. We contacted the FBI, and they were able to locate her. But sadly, she has been traumatized, and, you know, the person that left isn't the person that came back. I mean, this child has tried to commit suicide a number of times, you know, based on what she's gone through. And also, as equally sad, as she said, there were other people, other young girls in the apartment where she was abused, but the FBI wasn't able to get to them. So as a community, we have to do better in protecting our children. And we have to say something. We know that there's a sense of distrust historically with law enforcement and the minority community. And that's why we have an anonymous tip line, because we have to stop this no snitching thing. If it's your family member that's missing, excuse me, you would want someone to come forward and say what happened, because, again, as Mr. Wood said, no one just disappears off of the face of the earth, and no one knows nothing.
Well, thank you for that. Some of the other testimonials, brothers and sisters, are anonymous person saying a missing adult, that they were able to find their son through flyers posted on Black and Missing site. There's another person named Letitia Pratt. She had a missing child, and she did respond, and thanks for the help. And they found her daughter. And so I can keep on going. There's plenty of those stories. The question is, and let me give you a testimony, Brother Terrance and Sister Natalie, let me give you a testimony of my own personal experiences with being missing. When I was 5 years old, this is, again, in the mountains in New York, I was in a store called Woolworth, which there aren't any more Woolworths, but my mother was at, one area of the store, and I went away from her looking at some fish. And, when I turned around, she was gone. I thought she had left the store. I went outside. I didn't see her around, and I walked home. My home was about 1.5 miles from the house. And to me, as a 5-year-old child, I thought everything was fine. Went to the house. Nobody was there, so I walked back to the store. Again, I was 5 years old. And so by the time I got back to the store, there's the police everywhere. There's people. It's a small town, so there's people that are all over the place hugging my mother. And so finally I just came up to her and I said, "Hey, Mommy." And my mother hugged me and screamed, and then she spanked me, of course, saying, "Where you been?" And, and the police were, asking some questions and stuff like that. I didn't know the magnitude of what just happened, but I was missing. By all intents and purposes, I was missing. So at that moment, in that instance, for the sister or the brother who has a child, what should my mother have done? I'm not saying she didn't do this, but what should she have done, and what should we do when we feel at that moment that our loved one is missing? What's the first thing we have to do?
Well, the first thing that you have to do is call law enforcement. I mean, that's who we rely on to report your loved one missing, to file a missing persons police report. And then you need to contact all of your family members and friends to alert them, because, as you mentioned, you walked away and you could have been with a family member. So you need to contact your circle or your network of family and friends. And with social media, you can get information out instantaneously. So utilizing social media to alert the community that your loved one is missing. So those are the things that you need to do right away. Of course, definitely contact the Black and Missing Foundation, because we are a resource for families. But contact your circle first, second, with law enforcement first.
Okay, understood. Brother Terrance, I want to ask you a direct question. From one black man to another in North America, what state do you reside in, if I may ask?
I live in PG County, Maryland.
Maryland, okay. All right, so
yes.
Idaho from Maryland is a long way away. It's on the West Coast. It's out in the woods, whatnot. Okay, Maryland is on the East Coast, populated section of the country. Okay, so I have a son who's in his 20s. I have another one who's in his 20s as well. There was a time, Brother Terrance, not too long ago, where I didn't know where one of my sons was. Both of them are estranged from me, and that's a whole different subject for a different time.
Right.
But I actually had to go, Brother Terrance, to do exactly what you did. I went to a private investigator, and I said, "Hey, I don't know where my son is, his mother's side of the family, they don't speak to me, all that other stuff. It's different state,
right?
Whatever it happens, black family issues, as you know. We don't have many cohesive situations. But as a father, as a black man, your son's story, whatever the end of it is the story of all of us as black men. And I say that because I have, as a young child, was missing. I could have been missing. Right here in the city of Atlanta, where I reside, there were something like 9 to 12 or 9 to 15,000 homeless black boys. At some point, one statistic I read, just in Atlanta, homeless, I met a brother who was in his 20s here in Atlanta who had a family situation in Alabama, the next state over, and he ran away from that, stayed with his cousin. I was telling my wife about this the other day. And then all of a sudden he got kicked. They both got kicked out of the apartment they were in. So they both were homeless, you know. And they had no ID on them, no money, no job. So in essence, if something were to happen to them, nobody would know about it. And so how does that make you feel, not knowing what had happened or where your son is?
Well, not knowing, any parent, the first thing a parent tell a child, may you be a mother or a father, is, I will always protect you. That's what a parent tell a child. And my son, I've been raising my son for the last 17 years by myself. When I got divorced, I got full custody of my kids. So my children have been around me from the day they came out of the hospital. And me and my son laugh, joke, talk. You know what I'm saying? He came home in July. The longest he's been home is when he came home in July, up until when he left to go to Idaho. So it was myself, him, and his brother, and the house was excellent. Every Christmas, my son put up the Christmas tree. And, you know, my son, you know, he has 2 Emmy Awards, 3 books, and he's just, journalism, that was his life. You know, that was his life. And he was supposed to start working the second week of November once he came home for 96.3 with Renee Nash. Unfortunately, he's not here as of yet. I do believe in my heart. That my son is alive. But for some reason, my son stumbled over something. My son heard something, and he wasn't good with it. My son's been all over the world, out of the country. And he came back here, and in 4 days, he disappeared off the face of the earth. They said my son never been in the woods. My son just came back from Alaska from doing a shoot in the woods. So, you know, these people, my son never knew these people. He met them via text, via phone call. He never met these people a day in his life. And he was like, Dad, I'm going to do this last shoot, you know, and that's it. And I was like, okay. And the outcome of it is that we have to get him back. Because, like I said, you know, I spoke with him, he texted me, and for him to say he was leaving, he never left a shoot early. And then the next call I got was he disappeared. When he called Raw TV and told them that he needed to leave, he told them that his mother was having emergency surgery, which was a lie. But he told them that because for whatever reason he wanted to leave. Understood. He wanted to leave for some reason. And like I said, the next call I got, my son is gone.
Well, could I ask you some investigative questions, and then we're going to talk about more solutions. Okay. Now, this is just me as a brother asking these questions to you as a father, one father to another. What kind of documentary was your son shooting out in Idaho?
They were doing a documentary on the gold mines in Elk City, Idaho, and Pinmont Mountain. He was the youngest person, the smallest person, and the only person of color.
Now, what kind of books did he write prior to this? You said he's an author, so he was a media person.
He wrote a little brother for sale, a peddler story, and a mere mosquito. Yeah,
now these were
those when he was in high school.
These were fiction books,
correct?
Okay,
correct.
Got you.
Correct.
Okay. And he was going to work for a news station, you said, once he returned?
No, once he came back, he was going to start working for 96.3 WHUR, a radio station.
Radio station. Okay, got it.
Yes.
What was going to be his specialty, an anchor, or was he going to be a...
to be honest with you, I'm not sure exactly what his position would have been. I can't answer.
Right.
Okay,
the reason I asked for a minute,
but
I
prior to him
to
coming back,
be mindful But I just want us to be mindful that we need to rally around Mr. Woods and families like Mr. Woods. I mean, they're really, and he's been extorted, as he mentioned. And as a community, we need to, rally around him and contact the sheriff's department in Idaho. He has done all that he can, and the police department, law enforcement, isn't even responding to him. This story, his story, needs to have national attention.
Absolutely.
And
that was the point that I was
doing all that he can. Yeah,
absolutely.
He's doing all that he can, and he's getting nowhere. We're doing our best to help him. So
absolutely.
It's no blame on his son. He was there for a very short period of time. He did not know these people. He was there to do a job that he was fully trained to do. And we need to find him, and we need to, or his families need answers as to what happened to him.
Absolutely, and I concur. The point in those questions, Brother Terrance, was the portrait of the kind of person your son is a very good human being. He's not some criminal. He's not the type that would have done this. He's not irresponsible, so on and so forth. If you follow what the logic is. Oftentimes, I have found oftentimes when they look at brothers like, let's say, a Trayvon Martin or Mike Brown or others, even myself, with an incident that I was involved in my 20s, oftentimes what the media likes to do, the law enforcement likes to do, is say, he was this, he was that, he has a history of thus and so. That's not the case for your son. Your son is one of our bright stars in the black community. He's one of the bright stars in the black community, if you would. He's an author, he's a smart man, he's a world traveler, and he was a successful young man. Brothers and sisters, if that can happen to them, can you imagine what could happen to any of our children, any of our daughters and sons out here in this system? And all the police have to do, all the authorities have to do, brothers and sisters, and say, we have nothing on them, so leave it alone. It reminds me...
Because what they try to do...
Yes, sir.
I don't mean to cut you off, because what they try to do, as they did with my son, the first phone call that went in, when they called 911, they tried to destroy my son's character ASAP. You know what I'm saying? They said my son was a 27-year-old person, never been in the woods, lie, of dark complexion, that had a mental breakdown and do not want to be found. So if you're in a town or area where the population is 201 people, black are 0 to none, and you say this is a dark complexion man with a mental breakdown, man, are you really looking for this person? If you're looking for him, are you looking to shoot him? Because at the time when I was there, it was hunting season, and literally I was seeing the people. I was in town, and I watched the individuals getting their trucks with guns to go hunting. I watched with my own eyes.
Right.
I was on the phone with my father one day, and I told my father, I said, Pop, I'm in town, and these guys are getting inside his truck with guns. And I called the guy to my car while my father was on the phone, on speaker. I said, what are you doing? He said, man, it's hunting season. It's hunting season. But my son was a dark complexion man that had a mental breakdown. Wow. In the woods. And y'all getting ready to go hunting. Come on, man.
Yeah, right. It don't make sense, and there's no answers, nothing to say what happened to him. Sister Natalie and Brother Terrance, let me ask you a direct question. Sister Natalie, you actually started the answer to this, but what can we do today? What can the listeners who listen in next week and the week after who are going to listen to the podcast, what can be done to help Brother Terrance at this moment?
Okay, well, one, we need to get the FBI involved, and we need all of your listeners to rally around him and to call the FBI office, call the sheriff's office in Idaho so he can get the answers that he needs. We need to put pressure on them, and we need to put the pressure on the media as well as the community. Somebody knows something in that community. So when you receive national media coverage, it puts the pressure on law enforcement to add resources to the case or to continue to actively look for that person. You know, what we're finding is that with all of these stories, I hate to say this, but it's a fad. And our people are up in arms for a couple of days, and then they move on to something else. We saw this issue in D.C. when it was reported all of these young girls were missing. Then the story died. Well, guess what? There's still thousands, hundreds of thousands of people missing from around the country. We ask your listeners to go to our website and see who's missing from your community. You may know that person. You may have seen something that can help, bring closure to their family.
Well,
and financially, I'm thinking about also financially for the families. I mean, Mr. Woods has given up his time, his effort. There are times where he's not working because he has to go to Idaho to find information about his son. He was scammed out of thousands of dollars. We just have to rally around him and the Mr. Woods of the community.
Well, Brother Terrance, you're about to say something, but I want to bring up a point here at this moment. So this story, it seems to be very, very similar to some of the other cases going on. We're in America, we're American citizens, we just happen to be black. So it turns out that none of the resources that are supposed to be allocated for this are used for it, or there's no resolve to assist Brother Terrance or any of the other parents or the other family members in this. Is this what we're concluding at this stage? There's no resolve to help.
The situation with my case is, for one, the company my son worked for was out of the country. They're based out of London. That's one strike. Secondly, it happened in Elk City, Idaho. So once they allow everyone to leave the country, of course, you're in Elk City, Idaho, they're out of the country. So now jurisdiction played large part. We have no jurisdiction to London. We have no jurisdiction to London. So you all have no jurisdiction to London, but you all let everyone leave to go back to London. And when I was in front of the sheriff, I said, can you give me the information on the individual that was with my son? It's not a criminal investigation. Wow. Wow, it's not a criminal investigation. So you allow everyone to leave, but it's not a criminal investigation. But everyone now is out of the country. So now they're out of your jurisdiction, and really no one can say anything to you because they're in London. We're in Idaho. They're out of our jurisdiction. What are we going to investigate? We can't investigate. So that's why the only person or people that can help me is someone of BI, et cetera, someone that can jump jurisdictions. Because right now, Idaho is nothing. You can't force us to do nothing because they're not in our jurisdiction. They're out of the country. So who else can help me other than someone that could jump jurisdiction?
Understood. You need as much help as you can get. Is there a GoFundMe page, Brother Terrance, that you have to help? Okay. Would you like to tell the audience right now what that is, please?
1 second.
No problem. Take your time. While you're looking for that, you can jump in any time, Brother Terrance. Sister Natalie, I want to ask you a general question about the statistics. We got about another 10, 15 minutes before we close out. All right. So Brother Terrance's story is frustrating. It's frustrating for me as a black man. It's frustrating for us to hear. We would like to think this is not the case, but we are living in America. What are the actual statistics currently that you know of, a roundabout figure of how many missing black men, black women, or total black people as of right now that are unaccounted for that you can say based on your understanding of the statistics?
Okay. So each year we receive statistics from the FBI as to the number of persons missing across the country, and it's broken down by race. So last year there were close to 250,000 persons of color reported missing. And again, that's just reported missing. There are many more, and we are sure there are thousands more who have not been reported missing and not included in that statistic. And be mindful, people go missing for a number of reasons. Sex trafficking, domestic violence, we know mental health issues. We're seeing a large number of our seniors who are walking away from their homes because of Alzheimer or dementia. And of course, people, they have the right to walk away. But it's just so overwhelming and so alarming that so many of our people are going missing. And we all have a responsibility to help bring awareness to their disappearance and to help find them. And that's law enforcement, that's the media, and our community.
Well, Brother Terrance, while Sister Natalie was talking, I actually found your GoFundMe page for your son.
Yes, it's www.gofundme.com/findmymissingson Terrance Woods.
Yes, I found it, and I'm posting it now to the Nat Turner Library radio page. I'm also going to post it to. You're welcome. It's the least we can do here in the social media world. I mean, the media world. Now, I've got to ask you some specific questions about that, because I had this debate with someone not too long ago, Sister Natalie. That 275 or 200 some odd thousand black people missing that FBI reported, is that a running total, or is that okay for just the year 2018?
That's for the year. So each year we receive new statistics from the FBI. So that is the total for the year.
we got a 250,000 black people missing a year in America.
Yes, and if you calculate it, it's over 600 people missing a day. And this is being swept under the rug. No one is talking about it. I mean, we're fighting an uphill battle, but it's a battle that we're willing to undertake because we have families as well. And we don't want, when I listen to Mr. Woods and I talk to him, my heart breaks for him because he wants answers. And there's so many families, they just want answers as to what happened and to bring their child or their loved one home.
Right. You are so right. Brothers and sisters, let me make this abundantly clear to you what our sister Natalie Wilson, co-founder of blackandmissing.com, just laid on us. There's about 250,000 plus. I'm going to go around that number up to 300,000 because I know the FBI is not the friend of the black man and woman in North America. They are not our friend. They've never been our friend. They did the COINTELPRO stuff from the 60s all the way up to now. So I'm going to say 300,000 just to be accurate from what my assessment is. 300,000 black men and women and children, of course, missing per year on average. How long do you think that running total has been? That total has been. Has it been averaging that for 10 years now, 20 years, would you say?
Yes, it has since our existence. It's been averaging that for at least 10 years. So remember, when we started, 30% of all persons missing were of color. That number has increased to 40%. So in 10 years, there's been a 10% increase, and it continues to rise.
So there's even more of our people missing as time goes on.
And I'm sure that's only on what's being reported. Wow.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that's only on what's being reported.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to ask the hard question, Sister Natalie.
Guys. It's an epidemic in our community, and it's really not a black or white issue. It's an American issue, and we really, as a people, we have to step up. When we think about sex trafficking, we're even surprised as we're out and about speaking. People think sex trafficking is happening in Russia or is happening somewhere else. It's happening in our back doors.
Right here.
It's happening in our neighborhood, in our community, and we have to do something about it. We ask parents all the time, talk to your kids, see what they're doing on social media. Stop being your child's friend and find out what's going on. We ask parents and your listeners, if they can do this, create a fictitious account and see if you can friend your child. And your child may become comfortable with you, and see if you can get personal information. They'll become so comfortable, they may tell you where their school is, or, they post everything now. I'm going to the mall, and, you can meet me here or there. So that's something that I really ask your audience to do. See if you can befriend your child on social media and see what type of information they'll give you.
When my sons were teens, I thought of doing that, but I would be afraid of what I would find. So I didn't want to do that. I honestly started doing that. I said I'm afraid of what I may find. So, it may make me go crazy and run away. To be honest with you, so I said I'm not going to do that. So I'm with you on that. But this is a serious subject. I never knew that we were missing on average 250,000 people at minimum a year. And now I got to ask the hard question. Out of that 250,000, this is just rough estimates now. I know there's no hard statistics on this. Out of that 250,000, how many get found sequentially per the next year? So would you say by percentage, 5%, 10%, 20% may have had some resolution the following year? What would you say is an estimate? I know it's a guesstimate, but if you had from your experience.
Right. You know what? I don't know. I can't answer that question. We do know that some are found, and there are many who remain missing. But as an organization, that's a project that we're trying to undertake as well, to see how many people return who are or have been located, who have been reported missing. But we do know that some have been found. But honestly, I don't want to put a number out there, and it's not factual. Understood. And I wouldn't want you to do that either. I'm one of those that takes those risks, so I'll take the burden of that. I think, I don't mind taking that burden. I think in interest of respect for people like our brother Terrance and those that still have missing, I think I would not want to marginalize it and just say one person missing is too many, is one too many. One person unaccounted for is one person too many. And I know you mentioned sex trafficking. We don't want to entertain, we're the people of God, and the people of God don't want to entertain those thoughts. But I'm a realist. There are some of our people that are part of foul play, whatever the case may be, whether it be the worst that you can think of to something nefarious other than that. I saw a documentary. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Sister Natalie. It's a documentary out there now, series of them, about missing people in the woods of America. So, Brother Terrance, this is something you may want to take a look at just for entertainment value. It's called Missing 411, and it's specifically Oh, you familiar with it? Okay.
No, yeah, but really, I briefly watched the show, and it's a true story. It's called Trafficking. I watched that about a week ago, and it was about in the woods and how they had the girls and stuff captured in mines. And when I saw that, I just was like, because that's what my son was doing a documentary on. So, we don't want to entertain those thoughts. It's a touchy situation. Because really this whole situation is honestly, it's like something you watch in the movies. It's something you never think you going to wear those shoes. You know what I'm saying? You watch this on TV, you see it on the news, it'd be like, damn, man, if that was me, and you say all what you woulda, could have done, but you never in your wildest dreams think that one day that's you. And then when it's you, all your woulda, couldas become BS because you don't know what you're going to do.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know. That changed your whole frame of mind.
Exactly. I'm in Atlanta, and I'm from New York. The first time I came here, my mother, may God be pleased with her, she was so concerned about me going to the farm wood country of Mississippi to visit my wife's family, because she heard of what happens in the woods. And she heard about what happens to black people, and all that. But here's the thing. We are in this very serious time, brothers and sisters. We in this very serious time where we need to know the stories of how our people got missing, even if it's trafficking, if it's we've gone crazy, if we don't want to be, to that point. But there's something going on out here that's making it such that we're missing more and more and more. And I thank you, Sister Natalie, particularly Brother Terrance. Of course, we want to thank you for your courage. But Sister Natalie, I want to thank you and the staff at Black and Missing for at least starting a venue of this discussion on that website. Nothing pleases me more as a black conscious media guy. We talk about all types of subjects on here. We talk about, conspiracy theories. We talk about financial manipulation, political manipulation. We talk about psychological manipulation of black people here. But no one talks about this. No one discusses this. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I thank you for that. But even greater than Derica and I and our staff, we're fighting for the families. We're fighting for Terrance Wood. I mean, we are championing for them. And there's so many people out here. There's so many families who need help. This is greater than us, and we need our community to rally behind this organization, to join the movement, to help us find us. That's what we say all the time. We need your help to help us find us, because we can't do it alone.
How can we help you? How can we help you in blackandmissing.com? Is there a site? Is it on your site that we can donate to? How can we help you with funding, if at all?
So absolutely on our site, and your audience can go to bamfi.org. That's bamfi.org to make a donation. 100% of all donations are used to help families. We use the funding for burial services, for flyers, for T-shirts, and just sometimes financial support for the families. And we need your audience and the community to take a look as to who's missing from your community. You can help bring them home, and we need you all to be champions for these missing individuals and their families. Many times, as Mr. Wood said, they spend everything that they have, all of their resources, to find their missing loved ones, and many times they're scammed out of their money. A really quick story, Phoenix Colden that Sean King mentioned, missing out of St. Louis. Well, her family was scammed out of thousands of dollars. And people continue to call her mother and father saying, I know where your daughter is, but I need you to give me some money. And if you can't get it, by the way, I can help you get a loan. Like, really? These people are already victims, and you're re-victimizing them. I mean, come on.
That's
so it's
that's
really sad.
Yeah. That's how they are. That's exactly how they are. Like I said, I had a private investigator, and unfortunately at the beginning, I didn't know, but I gave him access to one of my bank accounts for him to withdraw the money as needed. And that was a nightmare. It was a situation. This dude was charging me money, $1,600 for this, $300 for this. And up to this second, as I speak, I have nothing to show for what this person took money from me for.
Wow.
Nothing, not one thing. And he had a folder that allegedly had pictures, etc. in it. He closed that account. I can't even get in that to get the picture that I so-called paid for. Yeah.
Well, Brother Terrance, I feel your pain. I posted on our site, and brothers and sisters are listening, you can support Brother Terrance and Black and Missing's sites by going to Nat Turner Library Radio Show on Facebook. The links on our post are there for both the GoFundMe page for Brother Terrance, which is gofundme.com/find my missing son Terrance Woods, and also for the Black and Missing Foundation itself. Sister Natalie, I did post that on our Facebook page. People will be seeing that, and they'll be listening to the podcast of this wonderful, powerful show. I want to give you, Brother Terrance, the last 30 to I'll give you another minute, if you would. We got about 5 minutes before we got to close, and then I'll end with Sister Natalie. What do you have any last comments for the audience concerning your case and what you would like to advise us about?
If anyone can help me to get in touch with the FBI or anyone that could possibly help me bring me closer to the answers and to bring my son home, I would deeply appreciate that. My son is my world. I miss my son dearly, and I would like to have answers, but hopefully bring my son home.
Indeed, indeed. Sister Natalie, we talked about a lot dealing with being missing and in black. I want to thank you again for the site that you created to help co-found. We thank you for inviting Brother Terrance on here. Maybe in the future, sometime in the summer, we'd like to invite you back, and maybe hopefully we'll have a positive update about Brother Terrance's son. And and maybe we have someone else that may have another story. And if you're up to it, I'll get in contact with you about it. Do you have any final comments for the audience about being black and missing on here that you'd like to let us know?
Yes, as a community, we have to do our part. We can no longer sweep this issue under the rug. There's so many Terrance Woods out there, and their families deserve better. And as a community, as people of color, we have to step up. We have to help them. We can no longer just turn a blind eye at this. And again, Derek and I created this organization to help us find us, but we cannot do it alone. So please visit bamfi.org and see how you can get involved and talk to your kids about sex trafficking. You may not think it's real, you may not think it's happening to your child, but it could be.
Well said, well said, and I appreciate that. The statistics we talked about, brothers and sisters, earlier are also on blackandmissinginc.com. 242,295 missing in just January 1st, 2016 to December 31st, 2016, and you said that number is growing. So this is very serious. This is very serious, brothers and sisters, and this is you. If you black and in America, as I always say, I know everyone may not believe this, but if you black in America, you're in a fight for your life. Everything around you, brothers and sisters, is against you. The political process, the economic process, the physical system, the justice system, the financial system, everything is against you. That has been shown. But God is with us. So he fights with those, he allows us to fight those with truth, and the truth is that we're endangered and we're missing. And so I want to thank both of you, Sister Natalie Wilson and Brother Terrance Woods, for your courage and for your support of our community. Brother Terrance, may God continue to bless you in the finding resolution for your son. If anything that I can assist you with, I will definitely be in contact with you. I have your number, and I'll be in contact with you and continue to keep the hope. Whatever the resolution for your son, keep the strength, and if nothing else, let this be a rallying cry to prevent this from happening for other people. Regardless to this, I'll say this to both of you, we have to hold the FBI accountable if we're going to continue, now listen to the words I'm using, if we're going to continue to pay taxes to a government that doesn't represent us, then we need to say, okay, maybe it's time for us as a people, all 50 million of us, to withhold our tax money until we actually have things like this being tended to the degree that we are satisfied. That's something that is unfortunate. It may be drastic, but that may be something we want to consider. And Brother Terrance, your case is one of those that validates that. So I thank you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, thank you for being on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Oh, indeed. I'm sorry. I lost you there for a second, Brother Terrance. Say it again.
Yeah. Yes, I said I thank you very much for having me, and I definitely thank Natalie and Derica for everything they've done for me thus far. I thank you.
We thank you for your courage.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And may God continue to bless you, Brother Terrance and Sister Natalie. If you need anything else, just let us know. You have my information.
Thank you very much.
Have
a blessed evening.
All right. Y'all have a blessed evening as well. Brothers and sisters, that is Terrance Woods, father of a missing black man in America, and our sister Natalie Wilson, co-founder and chief operations officer of Black and Missing Incorporated. This is serious, brothers and sisters. You know, on Nat Turner Library Radio, we don't talk about Mickey Mouse subjects. So a few years ago, we reached out to the Black and Missing Foundation, and we just weren't able to get Sister Natalie on or Derica. but we were happy to do this today. And it brings me, as a radio show host and as a producer of this network, it brings me to the spirit of validating what we've been saying and what I wrote about in my book, Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, in my upcoming book, which is going to be titled Behind Enemy Lines, The Struggle of the Black Man of North America. We have nothing but our own selves to help ourselves. And so for those of you brothers and sisters who don't realize that this is a war that you're in and you have to fight. You fight with truth, you fight with persistence. But we're at a point in our history that being nice to a federal government who does nothing for us is done. I don't care if we had a black president. I don't care if we got black congresspeople. They're being fought against. How do you know, Brother Michael? I had Sister Cynthia McKinney on last week, who was in Congress, who's running for president next year, who ran for president before. She exposes the underlying racist society. How do we justify ourselves giving money, whether it be local taxes, federal taxes, or even allowing for a government to do anything with our money and our support if they do nothing in return? That's called pimping. And so we're not going to allow the government to pimp us like these brothers and sisters that are possibly being pimped in this human trafficking. So brothers and sisters, support blackandmissing.com. We want to make sure that Brother Terrance, who's one of many hundreds of thousands of people who are missing in America, are found, they're accounted for, regardless to what it may be. We need to have some disposition. And if there's some foul play, brothers and sisters, then the people who are guilty, if they're in London, if they're in Germany, if they're in Egypt, they need to be brought to justice. We believe in justice. We don't care what the federal government says. We don't care what a sheriff in Idaho has to say about our brother. Brother Terrance Wood Jr. is our brother. And so I don't care what they had to say. If they did anything to him, we need to bring them to justice. Ain't but 200 people in that town where we got 20,000 black men with weapons who can bring justice to that entire town. I bet you the FBI will be there if that happens. That's the kind of talk we need in this time period, brothers and sisters. Don't forget, brothers and sisters, you're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. That's going to conclude our show for tonight. This is a serious subject, brothers and sisters. Next week, we have another serious subject, brothers and sisters. That's right, Dr. Umar Johnson. He's going to discuss another serious subject that's been in the news. Media attacking black leadership. What are the psychological effects of this? We heard from a brother tonight who had psychological effects of the FBI and the Idaho sheriff neglecting the investigation of his son. That's traumatizing. It's also traumatizing that black leadership that represents us doesn't get any effect on that. So stay tuned next week. Go to bromichaelmuhammad.com, BROMICHAELMUHAMMAD. Support me, the show host. Go to easylightsources.org. Go to khabooks.com. Brothers and sisters, and support our guest tonight, blackandmissing.com, just blackandmissinginc.com, and go to the GoFundMe page for our brother Terrance Woods. You are listening to Nat Turner Library Radio. Y'all have a blessed evening.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
wherever you go, however you go. For energy on the go, it's got to be 5 Hour Energy. It works fast.